Hi everybody. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my project here that I have been working on for some time. Um, this is kind of my version of a portable Go box. I didn't necessarily need to have a Go box, but I kind of wanted to make my setup kind of semi-portable. So, for example, if I needed to move to a different location and I'm going camping, I don't know. I mean, just different scenarios where I don't always move. The stuff doesn't always have to be moved, but if I wanted to, it's kind of easy to move. So this is what I came up with. I got the idea from a police car console, which is in between the car seats and it has all the equipment mounted, and on the face plates. So I'm using Havis Shield face plates. They're about $22.95 each online plus shipping. And I still have room for about, I think it was 5 inches that I counted last. So, and right there I plan on adding another radio. But first, let's go back to the top and let's go over what radios, the equipment that I have here. I use it for ham radio, and yes, they're commercial radios, but there's people that like the commercial radios over the ham amateur radio gear. They work just perfect, but yes, you do have a drawback of you need to make changes. You need to have your laptop available to you, or your desktop. So that's one of the drawbacks. But for my situation, I prefer the commercial gear. I'm also, I like scanning, so I like the audio when I'm monitoring the PD or fire, whoever it is, on the commercial grade radios. And just a side note, if you plan on monitoring police or fire, whoever, on a commercial radio, make sure you just set it to receive, especially if you use it for ham. You don't want someone keying up a PD channel or whatnot, and it just makes you look bad, and you don't want to stir up any trouble, and if you have a friend visiting or something and checking out your setup, you don't want the knuckleheads to be transmitting and talking to the police. So just a word of caution. Okay, well, either way, so here we have a VHF radio. VHF, I don't know if they say VHF. Yeah, VHF XTL5000 does digital. So we do digital on the 2 meter around here, which is pretty neat. Sounds way better than analog. And then it has some also PD and fire receive only, and that's the speaker right here for that radio. And down here we have a UHF XTL5000. It's the 450 to 512 split, modified to to be usable in the 440 band. Okay, and that's the speaker for it. And down here we have a Bearcat Digital 996T scanner. It doesn't have the correct faceplate because I'm waiting to get the other radio here that's going to be an actual dual band 2 meter 440 ham amateur radio. So once I get that radio set up, or once I get it, I'll order the correct faceplate for this. It will save me a little bit of money on shipping, so I'll just get both of those at the same time. So like I said, I have room for another 4 or 5 inches, and the only thing though is I'm gonna have to make room for another speaker, because the scanner right now I can still hear it, but once I get that other radio, I might have to drill out somewhere here and add 2 speakers for that. Well, either way, the wood I got at Lowe's, and the whole system is pretty much being held in place by the face plates that are connected to this aluminum that I got at Lowe's. And how I have these screwed in, as you can see here, this is a flat, I don't know what to call it, like a stud. So it's flat on this side. I just drilled a hole, and then the stud is threaded, and it came out through the other side, and I just added that, there you go, that nut. And there's 2 on each side, one towards the top on each side and one towards the bottom on each side. And so it works. It's pretty solid. The cuts on the wood, they're not that precise, because I'm not an actual carpenter or a woodworker, but you know what, I got the job done, you know. And then I don't know if you could tell, but I did stain it, and I'm overall I'm pleased with it. So now let me show you the back of it. Okay, and then later on in a bit we'll power up the unit to show you something else. Okay, so this is the back. There's the power. This is where the power goes in. There you go. Okay, so on the top there's the back of the VHF radio. There's the back of the UHF and the scanner. Okay, so the VHF radio and the UHF radio, they're both connected to this duplexer. Okay, so the leads come out to this duplexer, one for UHF, VHF, and then it goes out to the antenna here. It's not hooked up, obviously, but so they share a dual band antenna, and that way you only have to use one antenna. The scanner, I usually hook it up to a mag mount antenna, and it does the job. This gray cable is for the programming of the XTLs. Right now it's hooked up to the UHF. Eventually I'm gonna have another programming cable hooked up directly to the VHF. All right, so the power, this connector here, it's I got it on eBay. It was only $5, and it was advertised as a waterproof solar power connector for RVs or something like that. But it's just an S8E connector. I just drilled a hole and I mounted it with those 4 screws. And it had this wire lead right here that goes into that fuse block right there. Let me see if I could get a picture of it. And there you go. And that's how the power is distributed. So the XTL radios, they're set to transmit on 10 watts on low power and 25 watts on high power. And then the bottom one down here is for the scanner. So it doesn't, you know, it doesn't suck up a lot of power. And the way I power it, I do have a DC power supply that I plug right in there. I plug right into it. But if I'm out in the field or the power goes out, I do have this box that I made that has a 12 amp, 12 volt sealed lead acid battery. Okay, and it's controlled. I could charge it by 12 volts, pretty much any 12 volt source, and that's because it has a 12 volt solar charge controller inside. Okay, and the way I connect it to the box here is with this cable I made, and this cable acts as the power lead from the power box to the setup here, or this acts as the charging cable. Okay, so let me show you how I could charge it first. Okay, so the back of the box has the same kind of port as the box here, and there you go. And that gets connected directly to the solar charge controller. So if I plug that in, I could plug in 12 volts from an AC to DC adapter up to 10 amps, or I could plug in a solar charger, solar panel, and I don't even have to put the controller because it's already inside. Or I could even charge this from my car, because the car obviously has a cigarette outlet plug, right? So I just plug that in. Okay, so right now the battery is charged, so I just keep that covered up. All right, and I have this cigarette outlet or the cigarette outlet plug that I could charge anything out of a cigarette that has a cigarette lighter outlet. 12 volts, 10 amps. Okay, and what I do is I'm gonna plug this in here. All right, cool. So it's plugged in, and then I plug the other piece in here. Hold on one second. All right, there you go. Okay, so there you go. Oops, there goes the duplexer. Okay, so there you go. It's connected, and yeah, this wire is a little thin, but for monitoring and transmitting on 10 watts, it's perfectly fine. I got it off an LED light that I had. but it works. Eventually I will make a thicker cable. So to turn it on, this is the master switch right there, and that was free. I had that in my junk drawer, and all you got to do is just hit that switch, and that means power is being routed to there. So let's turn it around. You could hear the radios boot up. Okay, so there you go. There's the setup. There's the VHF, the UHF, and the scanner. Okay, yeah, the screens are a little off. They're not, you know, they're both set to the same settings, but one's darker than the other, you know, and I like the amber color. You know, this one you could change to green. I don't like the green color, but you could do that. I like the orange or the amber. And that's it, you know. And like I said, I have my portables to complement, you know, my monitoring setup. The 3000, it's VHF digital. This Talus is digital VHF, and then this is a digital handheld scanner that is the same model. It's the 396T. So programming, I just copy and paste, and it's pretty easy. You know, but again, like I was saying, you know, I like monitoring on a commercial radio versus a scanner. I love the audio of P25 on the ham bands, but you know, if you're gonna have it for emergency communications, if you're part of a ham group or ACs or something like that, ACRS, you need to have an actual 2-meter 440 radio, and that's what I intend to have too. Just, you know, just to have it available if I needed it, you know, just to monitor the situation and stuff, you know, or report stuff, I guess, if I needed to. But the battery, like I said, it's a 12 volt battery. If I was transmitting off of it, I'd probably get an hour to an hour and a half of transmitting time. Monitoring, if I had just the scanner on, the scanner's gonna, you know, probably last me 2 or 3 days, because the power that it consumes is so minimal. I could probably monitor, you know, probably a whole day on an XTL. They do consume a lot more power than a scanner on standby, but eventually I plan on building a 100 amp hour battery pack that's the same, that could charge it via solar, via car, or AC to DC. Alright, so there, like I said, there's my setup. Hopefully it gives you some ideas on what you could do, and don't be afraid to start a project, because if you mess up, you could always start over, right? Okay, cool. Alright, talk to you guys later.